Alright, welcome back to the part 2 tutorial of this potato chip bag. If you haven't seen the first part, be sure to watch it. But basically in this one we'll be animating the bag itself and the potato chips and modeling the potato chips and compositing and stuff like that. So let's dive in. It's going to be a quick, kind of a long tutorial, so I'll be going kind of fast. So try to keep up. But anyway, so first what we'll do, we'll bring in a disk into our scene. Let's go to object mode, and in here this is going to be our floor. Let's label that actually floor. And so basically I'm going to adjust the size of the floor that I want. I don't want it to be that big, so this is fine. Where potato chips are going to fall, I want it to be around like this. So maybe you can always adjust later. But anyway, so that's in. We'll create a texture for the floor. Let's label this floor, and then double click here. Let's go into floor, and we'll add a gradient, and inside a gradient we'll go into circular and right click here and then do invert, and we're gonna select our colors. Let's go into bluish, and then let's push that the other way. Then we'll do the same blue and then just darken it basically, so we can have a nice little gradient going. Alright, and now we're going to bring a background into our scene and then drop it into here. By the way, let's turn specular off because we don't need it. Alright, so now when you render it, you can tell we have a nice little background. And by the way, while we're here, let's do a few settings here in the render. Let's do physical render, and then we'll set it up to full HD. Then let's bring in ambient occlusion. So this should be fine for right now. We'll do more changes as we go. Anyway, so next, obviously we want this floor to be the same as the background. So one thing we can do, we can drop the texture onto it, and then when you render, you realize that something's wrong. So that's not gonna work. Let's do this. Let's go to the floor and then right click and do a composite tag, and inside composite tag we'll say compositing background. So select that and then just deselect cast shadows. So now when we do this, when you render, crap, it doesn't work. So what else can we do? Well, here's another thing. We can go into this texture and tell it to project frontal. So now when you render, it's working. So it gives you a nice little shadow here with the ambient occlusion. So it gives you definitely the result that we need. So that's done. Next, let's deselect the bag real quick. I'll double click on this to hide it. So now we're gonna bring a and by the way, the same thing for the floor. Now we're going to bring a disk again. This time it's gonna be smaller, probably like 50, and we'll adjust the size. So this is gonna be our potato chip, and we'll bring that down, this disk segments down to 3, and I don't want it to be too many vertices here, so probably like around 8 is fine. So that's gonna be our potato chip basically. So while we're still here, let's create a texture for a potato chip. I'm gonna call it PC. Alright, double click on the texture, and I created, let's do load image. I created a texture already. You can take a picture of a potato chip and then use Photoshop to kind of make a texture, and I use Crazy Bump to create more crazy, it's basically a software that you can get, and it creates more kind of textures for different channels or whatnot, like one for specular, normal. So this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use color one first, and then I'll go into a normal and then load a normal, and you can tell it's going to give you little bumps here, so that's good. And then I'll do the same thing for specular color. Not sure how well this one works, but I'm going to do it. And that's basically it for this. So now when you apply, and by the way, we'll also do a hypernerb. We'll label this PC, and then I'm going to actually make this one editable by hitting C and scaling it on the x-axis a little bit, so you can tell it's more of a like a potato chip. So that's good, but there's a problem. It's flat. So one thing we can do, just hold select this and hold shift and then go to displacer, and inside displacer go into shading, and then we're going to create a shader, a noise. You can tell it's already giving you a little definition. So we'll go into object and play with it a little bit. It doesn't have to be high detail because it's going to be animated, and so it doesn't need to be very detailed for sure, but I think this will work. So basically another thing you can do, well, let's do this. Let's hold Alt and then go to simulate and then particles and emitter, and now we're basically inside emitter. Make sure you select show object. So now we'll basically put that texture in the emitter, and it's basically spits out potato chips, but it doesn't look all right and stuff. So we're going to the emitter again, select some options here, play with some options here. Actually let's do like 60 degrees, variation of 100. Let's do variation for scale, so they don't all look the same size. So about 20%. In fact, 20% might be too much, so maybe like 10%. Oops, not 100, sorry. 10%. That should be good. And the problem is they're all looking the same, so you can always hold control and drag and drop, so you can duplicate the last chip and go into shading and just give it a different seed so it doesn't look the same. You can do it again, and go into displacer and make sure you just give it another seed number. So basically they don't look the same, and now we're going to select all of them and right click and make them a rigid body, so they interact with each other. Okay, that's good. So not bad. I mean, I know it doesn't look all great just now. We'll light it a little bit more, but you can tell that it looks more like a potato chip. It doesn't have to look great because it'll be animated. Now if you're doing this for like print or something, or like you need a still, probably you should probably model it and make it more realistic. But for this, what we're doing here, it should work fine. So let's bring our floor back. Let's bring emitter, bring that one up. Oops, sorry. Okay, and our floor, let's make it a collider, that way that our chips kind of stay there. Yeah, there you go. So you can render that to preview it. Doesn't look bad. Obviously it's not global illumination, so you can tell there's a lot of dark shadows and stuff, and you can see that it's going through our floor. So we'll do a quick fix with that, and actually let's go into our in the like potato chips, like the dynamic tags, and just go into a size increment and just bring it up some. See what it does. So that kind of fixes it, so that's good. That will do the trick. And if that doesn't, just go to Control D, and then you can go to Dynamics, and if like your chips are going through the floor, you can go to Expert and just basically play with steps per frame. Just bring that up, like if your chips are falling through the floor and they're flying through it. Basically just play with that number, bring it up some, and it will give it will help it to stay on your plane. But anyway, so that's good for right now. Let's bring our potato bag back into scene, and you can tell that these chips are way too big, so we can select them and just scale them down to about the size that we think is appropriate. So I think that's good, and we can get our emitter. Let's go back to the beginning. second. Yeah, my axes disappeared, so be sure your axes are back. So anyway, let's rotate this and bring it up 90 degrees so that it's shooting up, and you can tell we're kind of getting our the effect that we're looking for. So if you go to the speed and crank that up some, and now you can tell it's flying out of the bag. So if you bring the bag back in the picture, and you can tell the chips are probably still bigger than it needs to be. So let's scale them down. Okay. And be cool too if you go to a your potato chip bag and make it a rigid body as well, like a collider, or no, yeah, collider. And inside a collider, if you just hit play, it doesn't recognize that open space, so you just have to go to shape instead of automatic. Just do a moving mesh, and it should fix the problem. There you go. If you hit render, yeah, the render time is going to be a problem from now on, but that's why I'm not doing a global illumination. I don't have render farm here at home, so I gotta use this. So you can tell it gives you a nice little volumetric light, gives you a nice little look here. It lights up your potato chips, so it looks good, looks great. So now we just need to animate it, and probably crank. We'll adjust this number, so like speed probably can go to 100. Might be too fast. Yeah, that might be too fast. Okay, yes, that's probably good. And now let's hide our potato chips, and we'll just start animating the bag. So basically we have everything set up, so now let's start animating. So what we're gonna start first, everything is kind of in our control null, and as you can see, all our controls are in here. So I'm going to select this and shift select that, so we have all our controls in here. So that's why we did everything in here, so that we don't have to go to all over the place to animate these keyframes. So what we'll do first, we'll on y-axis, we'll animate the y-axis probably like from 500, maybe 600. Let's control click here, and then go to about 10 frames, bring it back to 0, and control click. So now we have like a basic drop, and let's close our bag first. Okay, so basic drop, nothing crazy, but we can dress it up a little bit with front and back. We can have it curled up like that, about 30 degrees maybe. Sorry, not 30, and we'll do control click here to make a keyframe, and then once it drops, maybe go the other way, like maybe negative 25 degrees, and then maybe 20 degrees. Just kind of go down the line. You can adjust this. So negative 15. Basically give us a little rubber band kind of effect. 10, and then like 5, negative 5, and then 0 that's where it stops. So this is what you kind of get. So obviously you can adjust this, but I just wanted for reference for right now. So we'll do something like this. Then as soon as we hit to where it's still nothing's happening, we can go into a Actually, let's add another one. Let's add maybe twist. Yeah, why not? We'll do twist, and then once it hits here, negative. I create all these buttons, but you don't have to. You know, you use it for whatever you need. I'm just kind of trying to show what you can do with them. Let's go to 5, and you can stop here maybe. Something like that. Then from here on, like on 35, we can say, all right, where's the factor for squash and stretch, or stretch and squash, whatever it is. So it kind of settled in, you know, it dropped in, settled, and now we want the bag to open. So let's say from here on to like 45, it can go down like it's about to explode, it's about to jump up. So maybe like 50%. So this is what you get. It goes down, boom, and explodes, you know. So now we can go to 110, and then 95 or something like that. Then 105. Whoops. And then 100. I know it's getting confusing, but this is where you play. I mean, whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be anything special. So once it goes up, and then the bag is gonna open. So like, boom, the bag opens up. So, and so that's basically it. You know, once it does that, and then it will probably close here. So just a quick animation. And right inside, when the bag opens, we probably would want to trigger our potato chips. So it's at 45. So if you go into potato chips, it starts on, let's say, frame 46, or maybe like 47, 48 or something. But if you notice right here it says start emission. If you hit it to like 48, let's see what it does. And let's say it stops right about 68. So if you go stop emission 68, so let's see what it does. You can probably bring that down to 46. This is all about playing whatever you feel like gives you what you need. So let's crank that up to about 50. Let's see what it does. By the way, you can always, the emitter, like you can tell that it's not the size we want. We probably want them a little thinner, so it doesn't go through the bag. So that's good. And then it falls. Let's extend this to about maybe 200. And you can tell there's stuff going on there. The potato chips are falling through the bag. You can always go into the potato chip bag in the collider and crank up increments to about like 5 or I'm not sure if it will have to go into negatives. We'll see. Let's see what it does. Maybe it's negative. Yeah, that should work. A few things. Potato chips normally don't have like a, they're not made out of rubber, so they don't bounce that much. So if you go into potato chips, not the bag, but potato chips itself, where the heck is it? Right here in the emitter, yeah. So if you go in here, it's kind of late, sorry guys, so I'm a little out of it. But anyway, in a bounce, we're gonna go completely zero maybe, and friction maybe. I want to stop. I don't want to be sliding too much. So I'm gonna see how sound went through the floor. Let's go Control D, and then expert, dynamics expert. Let's crank that up to like 15 or something. That might be too. So now when you do this, and you can tell that dynamics a little behind. Hold on, so see, it's not going through the floor now, and it's still sliding a lot. So you can always adjust, like select your dynamic tags and friction to like, I don't know, 70, and you can go to the floor and do the same thing. Get rid of bounce, probably like 50. And I want to see the real-time animation, like the stuff that's going on. So I'll probably have to bake the dynamics. So like, let's say if you go Control D, or cache it, like go here and just say bake. And it will basically cache all your animation so that it will be the same throughout the whole thing. It's important if you trying to send it through like render farm or something like that. You can tell there's a lot of crap going on here that isn't good, and a lot of it mainly you'll have to go in the emitter and maybe I feel like the stop needs to be happening sooner, so maybe 65 or something, and go to Control D again and clear your cache and you bake it again. I know I'm kind of going fast, but at the same time it's kind of long, but I hope it's making sense what I'm doing. If you have any questions, be sure to drop comments down below, and maybe I could do a tutorial to explain a few things a little bit more. So that's about it for that. But if you go into animation, we can do a few fixes. This is like a rough animation. So if you go to animation, and you can go into curves and really adjust a few things. So like for instance, like if you go into front and back, you can select some and smooth them out or whatnot. Let's see how it looks. So this squash, I can tell that it's a little crazy. So maybe we can, if you hit H on your keyboard, it kind of will scale it up for you. So I'm going to do this, bring him a bit more. I don't want it to be noticeable too much. A lot of times you can figure out a problem on the curve. Everything kind of has to look smooth, and curve, yeah, I think this needs to go a little bit down. Okay, probably way down. Anyway, let's see our front and back. I think front and back hit H is a little too much, so we can tone them down slightly, especially here. So yeah, it should be good enough for this one. But like I always say, if you want it to look nicer, that means you have to spend more time. So if you have the time, be sure to spend it, but don't forget about your family. Spend time with them. So I'm gonna bring a camera in, just make everything 0 and pull back. I'll bring a null in. It'll be my cameraman. I'll bring it up to here maybe, and then pull back on the Z. Also can go into the camera setting. I want to play with few options here. I'll make it let's make it 25 millimeter. Okay, now we can scale in some on the Z. So now it comes into play, and then hold on, let's play with few options here. I'm gonna go to animation again. I don't like how it's falling in here. It's a little too much. I love curves because they do help you sometimes. Maybe this wasn't. So boom, maybe this isn't bad like this. Yeah, this will do. Let's go back to standard. Okay, maybe I should pull out slightly, and maybe only like 10. Yeah, you can tell there's jazz going on here. So maybe let me go to potato chip bag. By the way, Control D. Let's clear all the cache. Maybe increments. Take it down to maybe 2. I'm gonna go and bake everything. Control D. Bake the whole project, all the dynamics. Like I say, it helps if you. Yeah, if you push it through render farm. Cool. Alright, well, if you render this scene right now, you can tell that it's still not all that great. And since we're not doing global illumination, we'll probably color correct it some in After Effects. But let me see this. Hold on. Okay, let me go out of this camera mode. Let me wait till it hits the ground. So I want to see what the chip looks like in the air. Like sometimes the bottom of it, since it's not global illumination, it's not lit very well in here. Yeah, and if that's bothering you, you can always bring a like, I wonder what it would look like coming in from coming in from here. You probably won't even see it. Let's preview this whole thing. Yeah, you see the shadows are harsh, especially like around here. So to fix that, since we're not using global illumination, let's bring in another lamp. Another lamp target light, and I'm just using global. Okay, bring that in. Wow. widen it up some, take it down. And inside lights, what's so cool is you can tell the light in the project here. I'm going to lock this window. You can tell it which objects to include and exclude. So I'm going to include the emitter only. So it's only going to light the potato chips and nothing else. So let's go into here and render the scene again. And you can tell it fixed it big time. In fact, it might be a little too hot, so you can go in here and, you know, take it down to like 75 maybe. You don't want it to be too hot on the chips. So it's not bad. I'm happy with it. It actually kind of don't look too far from the potato chips here. You can tell it's still not perfect potato chips, but for the animation purposes, it's going to look pretty decent. So let's look what it would look like in the final result. It kind of grabbed the last chip when it closed. Okay, and another thing we can do, the emitter. If you notice it, like if you close, where is it at? The emitter. If you go into, let's clock. Oh yeah, be sure it's unlocked again. But anyway, if you go into emitter in x-axis, you can make it wider. So they come out wider, but let's see what happens if we make it slightly wider than 100, so like 135 maybe, and then Control D, let's clear cache and bake it again. Okay, so let's see what happens. So now, yeah, they're a little bit wider. And also what you can do, you can go into the emitter and adjust these angles. Like for instance, if, let me do Control D again, clear cache. So if you adjust these angles, they're gonna come out more, like not in a straight line. So if, like, let me do extreme just to show you. Maybe not that extreme, maybe like 40. So like, notice, see they fly out more. So you can maybe do like 30 and 30. See what happens. Maybe, oh, not, I'm sorry. I put 3 instead of 30. You can tell it's going through the bag some, so maybe you can just give it a small percentage. A lot of tweaks, a lot of plays, and see what works and what not. Maybe just even lower than that. I want to see what it's doing from the side angle. And let me, by the way, bake it to see the exact animation, because sometimes you can tell that's where the particle is supposed to be with those, like that's where the chips are supposed to be. So that's why it's good to see baked version instead of what your computer gives you. And to make it more realistic, you can always go into particles here and adjust the speed variation. So some particles are moving faster, or you know, some chips are moving faster than others. Let me clear everything. You can tell some went faster. So let's bake it again. Like I said, you can spend a whole day just tweaking it, making it look better. So I'm just basically showing you the technique, how it can be done. So you roll with it, make it your own. I don't know if I'm gonna keep playing with this. Let's just do like 3. Well, actually, let's keep it at 5. But I feel like it needs to stop sooner. Let's do 6 maybe. Yeah. Let me do clear and bake. As you can tell, I'm spending way too much time on this. Particles are tricky sometimes. It's hard to control them. That's good. Let me go here again, maybe. So keep playing until you get what you think is good, because it is subjective. Okay. Go back into the bag and maybe -4. And the emitter, I'm going to bring it up slightly so that it's right here. Let me control D, clear cache, bake it. Okay, let's give it a try. That's good enough for me. You play with it more and give it a way better look than what I'm giving. But this tutorial is basically to show you how it can be done. You can adjust your camera. Let's adjust ours about here. In fact, I'm going to take it back, line them up about here. Maybe not. I kind of want to see the top of it from the top. Like I said, everything is subjective. Whatever you think looks good is good. So, but I'm just trying to show you the look. All right, well, I think this will be good for me. I don't want it to. 1 second. Let me. 1 second. Speed. Where is it at? Here it is. Let's take it down to about 600. I just want to see something. I feel like it's going too fast. Okay, let's go back, let's check it. Seems like let me bring this down like so, and then in the emitter let's make it start like right at 47 or maybe 45. All right, let's check it. Nah. Anyway, don't do what I'm doing. Don't overthink it, just do it. Whatever looks good the first time, stick with it. And let me push it to 47. Anyway, I'm gonna stick with this. You guys adjust whatever you want. I'm gonna scale it out so that you can see the result better. So you play with it. I'm gonna stop here because is just not healthy to continue. And before I go any further, I'm going to do a few things for compositing purposes. I'm going to insert a compositing tag, and I'll do a object buffer, one for the bag and one for the chips. So one is the bag and two are chips, so that I can have more control in my composite once I render. So let's go into here, let's do multipass and select object buffer, and then do another one as well. So now we have 1 and 2, and make sure you render that out as well. So inside save, I'm going to do actually I'm just going to do QuickTimes. You can do image sequence. I'm just going to do QuickTimes without alpha, and I'll do the same QuickTime. It's probably not a smart thing to do, but for this purpose I'm just going to do it. I don't want to bring in a bunch of images. So multipass, just put it in the area you want to be, you want it to render to, and then hit render. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So here's my final render out of Cinema 4D, and as you can tell, it is far from perfect, so be sure to spend more time on animation. This is basically me showing you how it was done, so definitely, yeah, spend more time, make it more perfect and stuff. But let me bring this stuff in and do some color correction. As you can tell, it's a little washed out in certain areas. We can probably make potato chips a little more exciting color wise, so let's bring that in. I'm gonna double click here and select 3 of them, import. It looks like on the original video I accidentally selected alpha channel, so it rendered out an alpha channel, and I do not need it, so I'm gonna ignore, and I'll bring that into my comp here. And After Effects Creative Cloud, that's what I'm using, has a cool new feature called Pixel Motion Blur, and I'll drop that in. And basically it's the same thing as Real Smart Motion Blur, if you ever use that plugin, which is really cool. It basically creates motion blur for you, so you can render that's pretty good. You can render that stuff out of Cinema 4D without motion blur, and then bring it into After Effects and do it yourself, and then it gives you a nice little smooth animation. Even around chips, it's pretty cool, pretty accurate. I love this new plugin. So yeah, I'll apply that to the main one, and then I'm going to bring in a first object buffer, and it's basically a potato chip bag. So to isolate the bag by itself, I'm going to do track matte, and I'm going to do luma matte, I'm sorry. And as you can tell, it isolates it pretty well. So that's one. I'm going to select it and make it yellow, so I kind of know I don't want to rename everything. So I'm going to Control D, duplicate everything, and change it to my green or something. That's good. And this is going to be our potato chips. So to replace this one with a second one, I'm just going to hold Alt, click, and drag, and drop it, and it replaces it basically. So now if you select this one, it isolates just the chips. So now we can individually tackle them. So let's go to I'm going to do one more thing actually. I'm going to duplicate this one and then select different color. This is going to be our background, so I don't want any mattes. So now you can see that we need to adjust a few colors. So let's play with curves. I love curves. So I'm going to do potato chip bag first, and all we probably need to do is just crush the colors a little bit, make it a little bit darker, so it makes all the other colors are more vivid and not as washed out. So that's probably good. I like this little drop shadow. So this looks pretty good. I like the bag in this one. So let's do the same thing for the chips. And here we'll crush the colors a little bit, and it looks too greenish, doesn't look real to me. So if you go to red and pull it up some, you can tell that now it looks a little bit more baked and warm. So definitely use that red a little bit. That's good. I like it. It looks more close to that one, so the look is not too bad. And then let's do one more, and we'll drop it onto our background, and we'll crush it and make it a little bit darker, and that makes the bag, it pops the bag big time. So this is basically it. I keep in mind that this was quick. You spend more time and make it way better than what I created. But anyway, I hope you found this useful. Let me render this real quick, and that way you can see the final result. Alright, as you can see, this is our final result. The colors are more vivid and not too bad, and I know you can make it way better. So thanks so much for watching this tutorial. Please visit me again. Until next time, my name is Sergey Prakhnevsky, and I'm with ukramedia.com.